You know, the songs that we were singing a moment ago, you know, when I was alone in the forest, I was in this, you know, everywhere was just trees. I was singing this exact same songs with my guitar alone. And today, I'm able to sing it here with, you know, fellow brothers and sisters. I can't tell you how much it really means to me and how much of a privilege it is to be able to worship the Lord as a family. Okay, so anyway, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, all right? I'm Nicholas, and I'm 36 years old this year, and I'm married with 2 children. Yes, I am a farmer, and I am actually doing the business of producing organic fertilizer, all right? But before I go on, I just want to warm you guys up a bit, and perhaps you can just ask the person on the left and right, do you want to be a farmer? Let's do it. Do you want to be a farmer? All right. I just want to start you guys thinking, because it is actually, before I go on to sharing the deep, thing and all this word, many people have a very wrong misconception that the next time I retire, I want to be a farmer. Please, consider other things. Farming is not it's a very tedious job, all right? You really need, you really need a lot of energy. You need a lot of, you're working under the sun, all right? And number 2, another misconception is this, farming is very easy. You put in a little bit money, you wait for the fruits to grow, and then, no. Farming is a very heavily intensive capital investment, which takes a long time to return of the investments, ROI, okay? So whatever misconceptions you have, we can always clear it out over coffee next time. I'm very happy to be able to meet you guys and one-to-one and share. And there's a lot of things I would like to learn from you as well, because I believe many of you all are very experienced and very men and women in the business, the marketplace, and I'm very thankful that God has given me this opportunity and this privilege to be able to be standing here today to share with you. It has been terrible, my journey. It has been not easy, but before I continue, I would like to just praise the Lord. I would like to give the Lord a hand, and for being able to be here. So going into my journey, at the age of 28, I went into Cambodia with my personal savings. My son was born, and he was barely about 3 to 4 months old. And I made a decision to venture into Cambodia. I had the intent to make tons of money, and secondly, to do good works. But I failed big time, all right? The first week I was in Cambodia, my driver sent me flying into the village house, okay, in the farm, in the provinces, okay? So this was how my first week was in Cambodia. I was literally bleeding from my leg down, and I was surrounded by the villagers, a few hundred of them, and then the police came and then took me on a motorbike and then went all the way to the police station. I sat there in a, the weird-looking house with a small police cell inside, and then the police basically catch my driver and basically put him in prison, and I had to pay a lot of money for compensation, and he just left me there, and I had to resolve all these problems. So that was my first week in Cambodia, and when this happened, I was actually asking myself, previously, I was serving in a youth ministry. I was serving in the church. I was working in Singapore. I think life was good for me. Looking at all these pictures, you can see. The first picture is my youth group. Second picture was I was actually running a thrift shop that actually does newspaper collections and selling of secondhand, known as High Point. I was running the thrift shop there then. And then I went to Vietnam and I went to study with my American professor how to do biodigesters and basically all the ecological things. The reason I show you the picture of the fish is because I'm also trained in aquaculture, where I do breeding of food fish like sea bass, and basically food fish. So that is my little bit of my history. So like I said, when I first went down to Cambodia, this was the first week. This is what happened to me, and I had to, going into this business in Cambodia, I had to leave my wife to support my family, because having two very young children then in Singapore, I had a very supportive wife who was, just holding the fort back in Singapore so that, school education, tuition and all these things. And it came to a point in time in my business where I lost almost everything I had, and I had to leave my wife to even support my family financially, and scraping through the days alone in Cambodia. You perhaps will not understand, but perhaps you might have already walked past walked through my path before. But it came to a point where I was even worrying about my next meal, selling whatever I could to maintain my staff of just 5 people. I could not even afford to buy an air ticket home, because I was worried that if I were to do that, I probably would not even be able to pay my staff for the next week. And I was then again embarking on new projects, because at that point in time, I was telling myself that I believe that the Lord has sent me here to do something, but I do not know what it is. I believe that there is a reason why I was in Cambodia, and I just held on firmly, and just bite the bullet, and I continued. So again, I got another project. This time my project was to grow corn. So I grow tons of corn, okay? So this project was basically on a piece of loan-free land in the mountainous area where I grew the corn very well. But the buyers basically broke the contract with me and left me again with 40 tons of corn in one season. All right? You look at this picture, right? You see that the corn is all toppled down. The reason is because what happened is that when we harvested the corn, and as we move out of that field in that farm, the truck got stuck in the soil, barely about 30 to 40 meters. And I had to empty the whole 40 tons of corn on the floor again, and then let the truck come out of that soil, the mud, and then load it up again. All this not by machine, by basket, and then just pouring it into the basket and then pour it up onto the truck. It was raining, it was storming, And there I sat under the tree and literally I wept. I said, God, how am I going to pay back all those debts now that I can't even barely sell any single corn? And there was no solution. That's the truth. I carried the corn on my motorbike, and kilo by kilo, I sold it in the province. In the local market. But I lost big time as well. Okay? So this is my life as a farmer. So I eat together with the farmers. I spend a lot of time in the villages. We drink the well water. We catch the fish from the river. And of course, there are wild animals around. And my team, that's the one sitting behind me. Yeah. So, and at night when we eat our dinners, we don't have light like this beautiful place and all. Okay, it's just a few fluorescent lamp. A few torches, and I don't even know what I'm eating. Okay, there are tons of things fly all over, and then vegetable ends supposed to be that crunchy, but so that's me and my guys. So anyway, so that was what I do. Growing the corn, and after that, I started a chicken farm. Oh, sorry, I show you the food that I eat. Okay, very exciting one. So from the river lake, right, we are able to catch fishes, frogs. I thought they were going to cook clay pot frog, but they just barbecue the whole frog until it looks just totally black and crispy. they caught some, we call it scala, but I think it's like a weird squirrel, fried with some vegetables, and that is food. Beside, that's how they fry it. That is red ants, okay? And that is bee larvae. Okay, so these are the food that I eat on a daily basis. And as much as you all think that it's very fun, it's not. I think, so just to conclude, this was my season in the corn farm, and we worked very hard under the sun, thunderstorm, we were packing corn, we were moving corn, and then the worst thing is that there was no one buying from us, and we had to deal with all these wild animals as well as there's no food to eat, A can of Coke will be like a blessing from heaven, that kind of thing. So that is the kind of, I don't know, I felt that at that point in time, I felt like, God, seriously, why put me here to do all these things? I guess there are many times in our journey that we are lost, and there are times where we feel that, is it really God calling us to do this, or is this our direction? So let me continue my story. So I started a chicken farm. Again, then I said, this time around, I'm quite sure that this chicken farm will pull off perfectly, because I signed contract with a sales and purchase with a very big Thai company. I won't mention names here. But, and I thought it was a sure hit because, you sign a contract with a big company, it's not the same as having contracts with local small shops. And not knowing that in the process of trying to sell these chickens, the local staff cheated me. So they actually sell my dead chickens to the market, and then they made me compensate for the dead chickens to the company itself. And then they kept the profits. So again, they left me lost. All right, my chicken farm. Okay, so I was left stranded alone in the farm again, and I asked God, why? Not only did I have to deal with these thieves, I had to deal with the supernatural as well. Perhaps, you believe that, every time when we do something, it's physical issues, mental issues as well. But many times we forget that the spiritual oppressions are real as well. I live in a farm, I live in a place where there is a lot of death, where there's a lot of hatred, there's a lot of spiritual activities. All right. If you do not know, Cambodia's black magic, or rather magic, is it's more. I'll just say it in layman term. They say it's more powerful than Thai. Okay, simply because the origins of Buddhism in Cambodia is different from Thailand. They belong to the stronger. Not I say one, they say. Okay. So anyway, that's what it. So. What I meant by I had to deal with the supernatural, I live in a house, I live in a wooden house that is barely 4 meters by 4 meters. I think I have a picture here, let me see. Okay, anyway, just to explain to you, that's my chicken farm. I have a few pigs, I have like 20 pigs. I had to deal with these cobras because every time when it floods, those residents in the soil will start to become your neighbors on land. So, yeah, catching cobras and, putting them I had to, I was inexperienced, so I catch the cobra, I took the cobra, I throw it over my fence, and the next day it came back again. So anyway, I learned. So these are chicks. This is my chicken farm, okay? So this is my chicken farm. So these are 2-day-old chicks. How it works is this, okay? Every cycle, early in the morning at about 3 a.m., the truck of the chicks will come. Okay, they cannot travel in the day because it's too hot and they will die. So they come at 3 a.m. So by the time the chicks arrive in the farm, about 4:30 a.m., I need to start counting chicks. All right, and I have 10,000 chicks. Okay, so I had to literally count 10,000 chicks for that whole night. And then I have to put them in their warm, nice little houses, which is little like that with little plates, and then they were supposed to live comfortably. Yeah. And then eventually they will be sold out in about 2 months to the company, where they will come, and then we have to go inside and start catching chickens. All right. And if you see that circle there, that is my house. Okay. So, every night, my window and my door will just fling open. Okay? It's not wind, it's neither someone playing prank on me, because I stay alone in this whole place. Unless the chickens know how to open my door and window. If not, there is no way these things can happen. All right? And it's not about just that physical distraction, but in that process, I felt very hopeless. I sank in depression. Many dark thoughts were put into my mind. I'm not sure if you experienced this before, but this was exactly how I felt. I felt so low and down, and there was nothing I could do except to just take out my guitar and started singing songs, and I started praying, and I started writing scriptures on the wall. To some of you, it might sound, wow, this is a little bit extreme. But this is reality of, going into the enemy's territory. I believe that in every season and in every stage of what I went through was to prepare me for something that I had to deal with greater and greater, and to help me to understand certain things. So this is phase 2. I'm just sharing with you first. So, I prayed, I fasted, I started writing scriptures on the wall in my room, and after a week of constant battling, I finally won. It stopped disturbing me, there is nothing going on. The snake still kept coming back, but, that aside, I had to deal with these spiritual aspects of things as well. So in Cambodia, the road that I get around is always flooded like this, in this water. And the reason why I show you that flag thing is because many things in Cambodia, I had to do it myself. No one really wanted to do it or actually dared to do it. This is a 15-meter flagpole that a crane hoists me up all the way just to change the flag of my company on the flagpole. There is no safety strings. It's just one string. I hook it up there, and then I went up 15 meters. Almost 20, 30 meters up. Yeah. All right? Just to give you a feel of my environment. So this is this is the chicken farm. So until this point in time, living in a chicken farm, living in the forest, growing the corn, I asked the Lord every day. I said, God, seriously, this is not a joke, man. Why you put me here and suffer like this? I was happily reaching out, because I showed you guys, right? I was in the youth ministry. We were having a good time, playing games, worship, and you put me in a place like this. I don't even know how to explain my pain to you. Every day you work so hard early in the morning from 5 a.m. all the way to 9, 10 p.m. in the night. You go back to this wooden little house, 4 meter by 4 meter. You get windows flinging up and down, the doors flinging up and down. You feel depressed, and then you have snakes, you have all the dudes coming up and down. And then last but not least, you're away from your family, you're away from the world. So, the Lord really put me in a situation where I needed to learn what it means to be a believer, a Christian. Because, like I said, I'm not sure about you guys, but I always appreciate, and I love worshiping together as a family, as a group like that. But it has never dawned upon me that kind of power, that kind of experience until I have been in that situation of being, I'm here in the middle of nowhere and I'm singing praises to the Lord by myself, and There's this terrible feeling, it is very, I cannot find a word to describe it, but it's not lonely as well, but it's just the fact that it's a very big struggle, and all I could do was just really trust the Lord in every situation, okay? And in the process of running my business, I learned a lot of other skills as well. Okay, I mean, I'm going to share with you some practical things that I have picked up in the process of suffering, in the process of going through all these hard times. One was that, I went there at 28 years old. I was a very young businessman. In Cambodia, nobody would listen to me. I said, I'm doing agriculture. Where are you from? Singapore. Singapore got grow plants? That's the answer they gave to me, Like, do you grow anything in Singapore? I said, yeah, we are a garden city. But my point is that, I had to keep it as real as I can as a businessman. I could only create my credibility and my reputation step by step from the bottom up. I thought that I could come in and do this business and start off from the top. But, man, that's wrong, man. It doesn't happen that way. I came in and I started right from the bottom up. And I had to do almost things that even Cambodians don't even want to do it. For example, like the whole chicken house, right, the chicken have manure, right? Yeah? Chicken eat and chicken poop, right? Even the Cambodians don't want to clear the poop. So who clears it? Me. Okay? And there is at least about 10 to 15 tons of poop inside one house. So imagine I carry me and my worker, two of us, cleared 30 tons of poop. Just two of us. Over the period of 1 month. Every day, pack the shit, keep in the bag, carry, put there. So I really was very humbled by that experience, because I think that when we share in the Bible and we say that in order to be first, you must learn how to serve, you must be last, always have the servant attitude. I think it's very easy to say in the context when we are in a very privileged environment. But when you're really in a place like this and said, serve, then you ask yourself, wow, really serious? This is no joke, man. What do you mean? When your life is worse than what is supposedly to be the third world country, then you ask yourself, this servant attitude thing really, it's not something so simple in terms of the application, because you come as, I'm a Singaporean, I'm bringing investments coming, I'm going to do something for the country, and end up you're collecting shit, no? I mean, it sounds funny, but at the point in time when you're there and the spot, that will run through your mind. That will be what you'll be thinking. Is this my purpose? Is this my calling in life or not? Collect chicken manure. So I think that it is very important for me, as I was keeping it real, to develop my reputation and develop my trust in the people around me, in my customers. My actions, my words, I have to be. Of course, it sounds very cliche, you have to be very sincere with what you say and all these things. But again, when you're in an environment where the circumstances are all against you, it is very difficult for you to sometimes want to be sincere, because you are trying and thinking, should I be looking at avenues to, earn some fast cash so that I can cover here, I can cover there. It's the circumstances putting you into situations where you are actually starting to play, toy with a lot of different ideas on how you can feed yourself. And again, I had to make sure that I had to be very clear of my actions and what I'm doing. And lastly, don't worry about being taken advantage of or insulted. Because when I was doing the business, as a young person there, I can tell you that I was insulted wholesale, I was taken advantage wholesale. You know, I had this customer where he bought my fertilizer, and then after that, he applied on the land and all this kind of thing. So I went with my staff, and then two of us, we drove the car for about 2 hours into the province, and when we wanted to collect the money from him, he sat there and he said, why should I pay you all? If I don't pay you, what can you do to me? So I said, sir, there's nothing I can do to you, but it will help me to live another day. And then he took out a gun and he left it on the table. And he said, you sure you want to collect money from me? Then I took out my pen and a receipt. Yes, sir, I really need the money. So I don't know, because what I'm just trying to say is that God really put me into very dangerous situations in developing this business, but He helped me to understand one thing, that if God is for you and He's there with you, really there's nothing to be afraid of. You see, I didn't realize that until not so long ago, when I was at that point in time, I was like, yeah, I know that God, you are there, but this gun is real, it's loaded. You ask me, don't be afraid. I don't think it's something that I can just say it like that, you see. But it is through that journey that it builds your courage, it builds your experience, and it builds your wisdom. All right? There are no shortcuts in Cambodia. There's no shortcuts in doing business, as just hire people can already. Because if it works, maybe it works in the developed countries, I'm not sure. But in Cambodia, if it's possible, then probably you won't have an opportunity to be their boss. You have no opportunity to basically do your business there, because they probably are the ones doing it already. And what I'm saying here is that because of this situation, I have to then lead by example. And when I led by example, that's where I built the company culture, and I built the importance of values in the company. So like I said, I literally started from scratch. And building them up, I had to be, again, developing my team, and I had to be very creative in my mentorship. So what I did was, I bring my team go ice skating, I bring them go cliff jumping, and basically I try to give them very near-death experience so that they can, oh, my life is quite short, I better do something about it. No, but my point is that I wanted them to realize that, if you understand the Cambodia culture, it's actually a very depressing culture. Everybody is quite negative, especially the lower income people, because they feel that there's no way to come out of poverty. They always think that their life is very sad, their life is very bad, all right? But hearing from people like myself, when I went there and I shared with them, I said, look, your life is actually very beautiful, because every morning you wake up, you get to breathe the fresh air, you get to see grass, you get to see nice trees. The morning I wake up, I smell carbon dioxide. So it's a perspective thing. So, but what I did was, I tried to give them that experience to realize that, you can actually do greater things in your life. And there are many aspects of a business that I hope I can share with you, and hope that you can share with me over coffee. But one thing I keep telling myself is that, I can be lost, but I must be lost in the right direction. Often we are not always sure or not always clear that the path that we are taking, is it really from the Lord? Because situations, circumstances happen. And the human spirit, the human fighting spirit, is a very powerful instrument, and perseverance is a very powerful tool. Many aspects, like doing all things without anxiety, waiting upon the Lord for wisdom and answers. I believe one of the biggest mistakes we often make is that before the Lord can answer, we answer for Him already. That is because I believe, again, the circumstances around us that pressure us. And in Proverbs 18:13, to answer before listening, that is folly and shame. So I hope that this is one of the important things that I actually try my best to tell myself that really, if you ask God for something, can you just wait for God to answer? You know. But when you're worrying whether tomorrow got food to eat, you say, God, never mind, I answer for you. You see? But the thing is, often we do make that mistake, but still, God is gracious, God is merciful, and He will redirect our path, redirect you back to your path again. And then He will lead you in the direction that you are taking. You need to understand and be sensitive to the signs and circumstances around to know your purpose. And bad signs and bad things are not necessarily telling you to stop. It might just be meant to make you stronger to handle what would be given to you and vice versa for the good things. It does not mean for you to continue when things are good. The discerning abilities have to be developed, and therefore experience and learning from life lessons are very important. Many times, every time I started a new project, I failed, I sat down and I asked myself, what is this learning experience about? What am I supposed to pick up from here? You know, there are many lessons I cannot, but one of those things I told you, I really learned to appreciate being able to be in a place like this to worship the Lord, and you have to be grounded in the principles of the Lord. But that does not mean you will not continue, you will not sin. That does not mean that you won't fall into sin, and that does not mean that bad things don't happen to you. It just means that you need to know when and how to turn back and stay strong. When you are at the lowest point, seriously, you are the most vulnerable. I said that, at that point in time, I'm strong, I have faith and all this. Frankly, I'm lying to you guys. It's not true. Because everything is shaken. And when you are shaken, you are very vulnerable to many deceptions, many, distractions as well. But thankfully, the Lord still keeps things in my mind. Every time when you want to do something stupid, the Lord says, He speaks to me in a very different manner, in a way like, are you sure? Is this the way you're going to be? It just reminds me of little things, and that's where I need to know when and how to stay strong and turn back. All right? Servant attitude, as I was sharing, if you notice my story, I never got to start from the top, but rather from bottom, even though I thought I could, and I really wanted to start from the top. The verse that God will not test you beyond what you can bear also spoke to me that God will not give you beyond what you can handle as well. And that could be too much freedom, too much money, or simply too much free time. I was so busy solving problems that I didn't even have the mood to think of anything or to do anything. You know what I mean? You are so stressed, you are like a hot pot going to explode. Basically, just nothing comes into your mind. So, before you can handle great things, I'll be a very more practical. People wanted to invest. I'm just sharing this with you. Okay, people wanted to invest like 10, 15 million into my company, and of course, everybody is like, "Wow, that sounds good, man." But I asked myself, seriously, can I handle a $15 million business? Is it really that simple? More importantly, money can solve a lot of problems, but money can create a lot of problems as well. So the question then I ask myself is, if I was put in that position, am I ready to handle that? Back in those days, I was definitely not. I would definitely go crazy. But through the suffering and humility, it really instills in me a different kind of spirit. Because I told you I took a lot of nonsense, insults, attitude problems, I was being looked down on, and because I had no experience and I wasn't in a good shape, people basically just don't really care and just brush me off. But to be in this humility, it has taught me what it takes to be set apart from your regular businessman. Your expensive cars, your flashy businessman style. It taught me what the world deems as successful material things, I deem as basically not important, and do my business in a way that matters. In Cambodia, the rich people are more than in Singapore. I just give you an idea. There are 16 million people there. 1% of them are millionaires. We have 5 million population in Singapore. Not all 5 million in Singaporean, right? Maybe about 2 million to 3 million, right? So 1% of 2 million and 3 million is how much? I would say that there are a lot of actually very rich Cambodians. And the kind of values that they have for the business there is, it's KTV, driving expensive Lexus, drinking, buying you expensive alcohol. I think those of y'all who have done business, in other countries, it's quite similar. And, I was in a situation where I thought, well, perhaps really I might need to do a little bit of these things, as in conform a little bit, getting them drinks, driving expensive cars, so that I can succeed. Then, that was my first few early days there. And then until I was humbled, until I finally made it, then I realized that actually, in order to be that light and that example of a Christian businessman, you really have to do things differently. You have to make a stand and say, look, I'm going to do things differently. And then when you do things differently, people again start to say, no, you cannot do business like that. You're going to die, you're going to go home, it's the end of you. But I insisted and I had my faith. So basically, I don't believe in showing them that all these surface things. And when this problem is not just with my customers and the people around me, it's also my staff as well. Because like I said, when you are in a place of a culture where everybody is doing things like this, and then you have this group of staff that says, sir, are you sure you want to drive your $5,000 old truck around to meet, MNCs and all these big companies? I say, what's the problem? And I say, no, but you must understand Cambodia culture. They are very surface. They see what you drive, they see what you wear, and then they assume that your business is big. I said, then I'm going to do business differently. You see, as I was walking through the rice field and the rice farm with my staff, I shared with them a simple analogy. I said, you look at the rice. You know what's rice farm, right? You know what's rice farm, huh? The farm, grow rice. Okay. Yeah. So, and the rice was all standing tall, straight up. Right? You all know that rice stand, right? Yeah. So all the rice was standing up. And I told them, I said, doesn't it look nice to be standing all tall and straight, And they tell me, yeah, the rice are very nice, all standing in the fields, wow, kilometers and kilometers of rice on the right side standing. And then I said, this is like a person, all strong and mighty, and then, standing, and it looks good. Then I point to the other side of the farm. I say, you look at all this rice here, all tilted down like that, right? And then they said, yeah, maybe not so good, sir, maybe not so good. I said, you're wrong. The truth is that the rice that is standing all tall and bad and all straight is actually very bad in quality because they have no substance in the grain. Therefore, there is no weight, you see. Whereas the rice that is bending over is actually very heavy in substance, material. Therefore, the weight is carrying it down. Okay, so what I wanted them to understand is that character is more important than impression. And as I mentioned, that there are many things which, along the way I get to share with my staff. I get to build this mentor and relationship with them. I learn a lot of things from them as well, and I started to appreciate, many things in life. All right, and I think wait, let me see this first. Okay, so again, in that process of building up my business, if you already heard the challenges I went through, and things got better, I started to become very involved with the Ministry of Agriculture in Cambodia. I became one of the advisors to advise them how to grow on their plants, many farm consultations as I actually shared with them how they can increase their yield using low-cost materials, viruses, diseases, and so forth. I conducted classes for this agriculture technology in the universities in Cambodia. I built a few hydroponic systems which grow vegetables in water in the universities. And we were invited to places like the mosques, the temples, to teach the poor farmers on sustainable farming. Until this point when I showed you all these pictures, then I realized that, the Lord is starting to put me into a place of influence. I think as a businessman, you can be doing any business, but when you are in the place of influence, that makes you a very, very important instrument that God can use you to be. I never expected to be sharing and talking to all these, like I said, Singapore could grow plants on me. And I am teaching the Cambodian farmers how to grow plants, okay? I'm teaching the Cambodian students in the agriculture school how to develop technology like fertilizers and pesticides for the plants. And eventually the Lord built my business. I found favor in a lot of very big people in Cambodia. And I grew my business from producing 40 tons to 800 tons a month. All right? It is a dirty job. Okay, I work from early in the morning all the way to late at night. And this is how my factory looks like inside. We pack. I have 2 factories now. The top one, I got students to draw on my wall. To create some life, but actually it's all my form of outreach to these Cambodian students, And the one below is another factory in Phnom Penh City. On the left, if you can see, it's all the waste that is sugarcane, coconut, and so forth. And then on the right side is my worms. I use earthworms to convert these waste into fertilizer. And then I have my own formula and I enhance the product. All right? And then, so in that process, when, in God's grace and God's mercy, elevated me into the position of influence, things really got much better. And then I started to, we started to have more people joining our team. We started to have more business going on. Today I have about 60 staff. All right? My staff literally work for me until die. Okay, really, because, not that they suffered and died, but they work, and then they fell sick, and then what we did was, as a company, I actually went and I prayed for them. And my staff were not Christians, they're all Buddhists. They saw me praying for him, and they just closed their eyes and then just follow what I did. And when we have our staff party, we don't go to restaurants, 10 tables, or we don't book a place like this, you see. We sit on the floor, we cook rice, and we have our parties like that. And then eventually I can send my staff to overseas for training and upgrade their skill and upgrade their confidence. And I brought them to Singapore to teach Singaporean now how to grow plants. All right? Right. So this is, So I think I felt that I just wanted to share with you the importance that regardless what job you are doing, I feel that there are only a few things that you have to be very, you need to know that it doesn't matter what you do, it's how you influence and how you impact the people around you. You might not know the calling or the purpose that God is giving to you now, but whatever that you are doing is building up for a greater purpose that God is going to be calling you too. And when God calls you, don't say no lah, I don't think so lah. My life here cannot be one I don't think it's it. Many times we question ourselves whether is this the right thing to do. But many times we don't need to ask ourselves so much questions. I mean, frankly, I'm this kind of person. I think this is what I want to do. I think I can do more. Therefore, I shall do it. I won't bother to ask any more questions, and then I will go. I mean, of course, I'll pray and all these things. But again, by faith, I will take that step of faith. Why? Because many times that we think that we don't know our purpose is simply because we create that own obstruction for ourselves. We actually create our, that barrier to say that, look, this maybe is not the calling of God. I don't think so. It's God, I feel that I can do more. Okay, let's say I'm doing admin in the office. I feel that I can be doing more. So be it. Just leave your job and go. It's as simple as that. I don't think God has really created too much complicated rules and regulations. It's very much more on us being able to obey. And I think obedience is the hardest thing that many of us find, and many of us have a problem to do it. I'm sharing a little bit on my spiritual walk in this journey of my business. But if you really want to know more technical things about the business and so forth, like I said, I will just send you all my email, my WhatsApp, my telephone number, and my Facebook. Please feel free to call me. We can always have coffee, and I can share with you how much more I suffered. Okay, but anyway, and you can share with me how much you suffered as well. But my point is that, I think I'm very privileged and I'm very blessed to be given this opportunity to be here to share with you my journey. It has been tough, but I am a standing testimony to show you that the Lord will not fail you. The Lord will bring you to where you need to be. All you do is just need to obey and have faith.